The Philadelphia Eagles are going through a season that, on paper, looks almost perfect. 7 wins, only 2 losses, a roster loaded with stars, aggressive moves from Howie Roseman, and the constant feeling that this team is once again marching toward the top of the NFL. But as so often happens in Philadelphia, not everything is what it seems. Every passing week brings a new tension, a new spark, a new rumor gaining momentum. And this time, what surfaced isn't just an isolated disagreement, a random complaint, or an individual frustration. It's something bigger, deeper, and much more concerning. Because now, we're not talking about one unhappy player. We're talking about several. An entire unit that, according to reliable sources, is reaching its limit. This story blew up when reporter Dianna Russini from The Athletic, one of the league's most respected journalists, dropped the bomb. There is widespread frustration inside the Eagles' offense, and this frustration doesn't come out of nowhere. It grows silently, week after week, from the feeling that this offense, despite being loaded with talent, isn't producing even half of what it could. The Eagles' offensive season has been strained, not bad, but strangely limited. The team currently ranks just 30th in pass attempts across the league, something completely out of character for a roster that has some of the most talented receivers in the NFL. The numbers don't lie. Philadelphia barely takes risks, barely attacks downfield, barely distributes the ball, and when receivers spend hours getting open, creating separation, studying defenses, and the ball simply never comes their way, frustration becomes the natural consequence. Russini herself wrote something that perfectly sums up what's happening behind the scenes. All top receivers in this league say the same thing. If you spend hours getting open and the ball doesn't come, frustration takes over. And here's the most surprising detail. We're not just talking about A.J. Brown. Brown is the most visible face of this frustration. He speaks out, complains, explodes, creates headline. But now we know he's not alone. There are more players, more voices, more people bothered by what's going on. Players who don't speak publicly, but who are raising the same concerns inside the building. And this is where we reach the most delicate point of the entire story. According to Russini, the frustration isn't with the playbook. It isn't with Kevin Patullo. It isn't with Nick Sirianni. It's with the team's quarterback, Jalen Hurts. The criticism is direct. According to several players, Hurts' approach this season is making the offense limited, predictable, and frustrating to execute. The specific issue cited by team sources is clear. Hurts has repeatedly hesitated against zone coverage, holding the ball, passing up open short throws, opting instead for aches, checkdowns or runs in situations where there were clear options available downfield. In other words, it's not that the offense doesn't work, it's that it could be working much better than it is. And this bothers the receivers especially because they know what they're capable of. They know how explosive this offense can be. They know how many games they can win on their own when the ball comes their way. Now, there is an important counter-argument in all this. The Eagles have the fewest turnovers in the NFL this season. Hurts has thrown just 1 interception. The team is also the best red zone offense in the league. So yes, this conservative approach does have benefits, but every choice has a cost. The offense isn't flowing. It isn't exciting. It isn't suffocating defenses the way it should. It isn't playing up to its own talent level. And this collective feeling is building up. This explains a lot. Why A.J. Brown is so impatient. Why Devonta Smith spoke about confidence. Why Goddard wants more involvement. Why the offense looks disconnected at times. Because deep down, the frustration isn't individual. It's collective. It's not about one player wanting more targets. It's about several players believing the offense could be far more aggressive, far more creative, far more vertical if Hurts were more decisive. They want him to trust them more. They want him to take more risk. They want him to attack zone defenses with authority. They want him to scan the field and let the ball fly. They want the Jalen Hurts from 2022, the MVP caliber player, the relentless distributor, the quarterback who attacked every window, not the more conservative, careful, hesitant Jalen of 2025. That's the real tension. And that's why, for the first time this season, sources inside the locker room are admitting that there is accumulated frustration, not with the system, not with the scheme, but with the way the quarterback is running the offense. Does this mean crisis? No, but it does mean a warning. Because if there's one thing that can change a locker room's energy quickly, it's the feeling that the offense is underperforming. The truth is simple. This only becomes a serious problem if Hurts fails to adjust. If he starts getting the ball out faster, attacking zones with confidence, and giving his playmakers opportunities, everything goes back on track. If he doesn't, the frustration will grow week after week. And in Philadelphia, once frustration starts growing, the noise becomes a storm.